So, leadership is a broad topic and it has many definitions. But for us, leadership is about influence. If you have influence, you are a leader. And each of us, each of us daily, we have the opportunity to influence others, right? My question to begin with is, what are you doing with that influence? Because leadership is more than just a position. We also believe that when the leader grows, everybody grows. John Maxwell, he talks about the law of the lid. And the law of the lid is a simple principle, and it holds that organizations cannot grow beyond the capacity of the leader. An organization cannot grow beyond the capacity of the leader. And so the only way to grow an organization and to be influential is for you to grow your leadership capabilities. If that is your goal, then you have come to the right place. Let's look a little more about the law of the lid. John Maxwell talks about the law of the lid. I want to share with you a short video to further illustrate this very powerful concept as we move into this evening
Consulting
session.
Group. Today, I want to talk about John Maxwell's Law of the Lid. Law of the Lid is a concept that comes from the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, which is John Maxwell's most popular book, and it's my favorite tenet of his. So, what the Law of the Lid says is that we really have two things as managers and small business owners. We have dedication, which is the amount of time and energy we have to give to our business. And then we have our leadership abilities, okay? So if I'm willing to give a lot of time and energy to my business, but my leadership abilities aren't very good, let's say I'm a 1, but I'm willing to give an 8. I'm willing to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week, work real hard. With my low leadership abilities, I can only get this much done because I can't get my people to help me very much. I'm trying to shoulder all of that burden with my poor leadership abilities. Let's say I'm not quite as dedicated to my business. I'm only a 4. Okay, so I'm not working as much. I have more energy for other things other than just working, but I really work on my leadership abilities, and I get those up around an 8. As you can see, I'm getting my staff and my team to help me on our path to success. And a lot more work is being done, even though I'm working less, with my leadership abilities rising and my people being empowered and doing their jobs to the best of their ability, because I've created a culture where they want to work, where they feel good about working, opposed to trying to carry that burden on my own with a low leadership level where I get very little done. My business partner Larry and I at our cleaning restoration business have had both of these businesses. For many years, our leadership abilities were very low, and we worked 90 hours a week. We worked and worked and worked until we couldn't work anymore. And then we either had to shut that business down or we had to learn how to be leaders. And now our leadership abilities are much higher. We get a lot more done. We have staff who love to come to work, and we don't have to work quite as hard. So again, John Maxwell, Law of the Lid, great concept.
When the leader gets better, everybody wins. So if your goal again is to become more influential or to grow your organization, then you are in the right training, because we believe that we all have the capacity to inspire and empower others. But we must first be willing to devote ourselves to our personal growth and development as leaders, potential leaders, and people of influence. For those of you who have joined us before for various courses, you will or may not remember me. My name is Charlotte Neal, sometimes Lopez. And I am the managing director for the Belize Institute for Service Excellence, Leadership and Research, and co owner of the BZLearn.com, Belize's first online learning platform and training hub. And I am joined this evening by somebody who I am told is identical to me. I disagree a little bit. Don't tell her, please. And today I will allow her to introduce herself. And for the rest of this session, you will be led by Charlene as she takes you to the various concepts that we have to cover. At the very end, I'm going to beg you for 5 minutes of your time so that we can talk a little about what are the expectations of the course. So stay with us all the way through to the very end. Charlene, over to you.
Thank you so much, Charlotte, for that lovely introduction. Although she does not want to admit that we look alike, we are identical twins, and unfortunately, we cannot get away from that. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening. As Charlotte said, my name is Charlene Tablada, and I wear many hats, but in this capacity, I co-train with Charlotte as a part of the Belize Institute for Service Leadership Excellence and Research, a long name. And I have been working with her for over a year now, delivering the leadership training. And I cannot tell you that how rewarding it has been, and it gets better every time. And so without further ado, I'd like to dive right into the meat of the matter. And she talked at the beginning and said that if you have influence, you're a leader. And I think I want to set that up front because a lot of people have some misguided notion about who can be a leader and what a leader is. And a lot of people think, oh, well, if I don't have a degree or if I don't have this qualification or that qualification, I cannot be a leader. And so I want to dispel that right off the bat. And what we want to focus on in this course as we go through the 3 modules, you will hear us talk about authentic leadership, and you will begin to understand why you can be or are already an authentic leader. A lot of people, when they think of leadership, they think of leadership as being about others. Oh, well, I am leading this group or I am leading these people. But while that is a big part of leadership, because yes, it's a part of it is about leading others, perhaps one of the most critical part of leadership is about leading yourself, knowing and understanding who you are. And this is where a lot of people get it wrong from the onset. If your focus on the onset is on leading others, you are probably not going to end up being effective as an authentic leader, because the first and most important component of leadership is leading yourself. You need to be able to know who you are and understand who you are. And if your leadership journey takes you on a path to discovering yourself, then you're more than halfway there to being an authentic leader. And so we're going to discuss a little about that concept of authenticity, because it is at the core of everything that we are trying to impart to you in this leadership course. And if you can grasp that and if you can understand, then we're well on our way. So when you hear the term authenticity, I'm just going to throw it out there, and a couple of you can raise your hand and you can just share. What comes to your mind when you hear the word authenticity? Given it's a large group, everybody might not be able to give a word, but you can also drop it in the chat and we can see it there, okay? What does authenticity mean to you? When you hear authentic, authenticity, one word. Anybody?
For me, it's real.
Okay.
Real.
Real.
When something is true. Yeah.
Okay,
Real,
Karen.
true.
Please remember
Excellent.
to raise your hands just so we don't have a bit of confusion, but thanks.
Okay.
Okay, what else? Anybody else? I see some people dropping in the chat. That's also great. Unique, real, unique. Yep. Honest, genuine. Any others?
I think Abigail had her mic unmuted at the same time with
Okay.
Karen.
All right, Abigail.
I am thinking about transparent.
Transparent. Awesome. Okay.
Accountable.
Accountable. Okay. Great. One or two more. Different, original. I see in the chat. Different, original. Okay. One or two more.
Your true self.
True self. I love that very much. So true self. Okay. Original. Great. So you have all given some excellent examples of what you believe authenticity to be. And so our focus is on the authentic leader. What makes you an authentic leader is what we're going to talk about. So the main point is that at its most basic level, it means being genuine. And a lot of you said genuine, not a replica, not a copy, not an imitation. But how do you know that you are authentic? How do you know that you are genuine? Is that something that you're able to wake up every day and assess yourself and say, I am real, I am genuine? A lot of people say, oh, you know, she's fake or he's fake. Or you hear some people say about some leaders, I like that person because he is so real. What does that mean? How do you determine that a person is authentic? In leadership, it implies that we're embodying our true selves in our leadership role. What does that mean when we say we're embodying our true self? It means that we are true to ourselves on every level. We are very clear about what our values are, what our beliefs are, what our principles and morals are, and all of these create our guided compass. So being authentic is about who you are at the very core. The challenge is that a lot of people in leadership, they don't draw from their selves. They don't draw from within. They look around them to see what this leader is doing and what that other leader is doing and what the other person is doing. And they don't draw on the very thing that is going to make them authentic. So you are able to define everybody else, but you're not able to define yourself. You're not able to draw on what would make you the real you as such. And this is what we want to focus on. And so this is exactly why we start the first session by looking at you as a leader. It is important that you are able to examine yourself, that you are able to identify what would make me an authentic leader? Who am I really? And once you're able to understand that, then you are able to move forward in your leadership role. So we should be looking outward for authenticity because the very word authenticity suggests that it's genuine, it's original, it's real. So you do not look outside of yourself for the original version of you. You're not going to find the original version of you in anybody else. You can only find the original version of you inside of you. What is at the core? And a lot of people shy away from this because for many of us, identifying who we are at the core can be a very painful journey. But this is where transformation takes place. If you're able to sit enough long enough or invest the time long enough in courses like these, for example, that allow you to truly reflect and identify who you are. And you're able to then use that as a transformation, as a point of transformation, because nobody can replicate your experiences. Think of that, and that's why we say authenticity comes from you. At the end of the day, you are authentic and you're original and you are real because of your experiences. But you cannot draw your experiences from someone else because nobody can replicate those experiences. Nobody can be who you are at the core. Does that make sense? So one of the quotes that I really love comes from T.D. Jakes. He's a really awesome author, and he forces you to reflect a lot internally in terms of bringing out that authentic leader. And he said, you can prosper effectively only by drawing on what is authentically in you. The drawing process starts from the core. You can only be fruitful out of your understanding of and connection to what is at your core. And so keep this in mind, that when we start talking about leadership and when you position yourself as the leader, you begin by examining who you are. And you ask yourself some difficult questions, and we're going to go to some of this tonight. For you to be on the spot, you on the spot.
Sorry,
Like,
is it my internet? Because you're sorry. Hi, Charlene. Is anybody else not hearing, or is it my internet? Okay, it's okay. Go ahead.
If other people are hearing.
Okay.
Anybody having difficulty hearing?
Go ahead. It's my internet.
Oh, okay. Your internet. See, there you interrupt me. You need to have a conversation with your service provider. Okay. So we are going to talk a little about this, and I will have an activity whereby we will provide a space for you to reflect a little more. Okay. So one of the things that is so important for us to understand is that there is no profile of an ideal leader, but there are some characteristics that define the authentic leader. And once we're able to understand what are some of those characteristics, then they form the basis for us to be able to examine ourselves, because they provide a guide as we're going along. Okay, so one of those a lot of people shy away from, but is critical, are strong values and principles. An authentic leader has strong values and principles. What do we mean by that? As an authentic leader, you want to be able to stay grounded. And so Bill George, who is a leading author on leadership, came up with the concept True North. And when he talks about True North, he means that True North is who you are as a human being at your deepest level. North comes from the compass. We know that there's north, there's south, there's east and west. And the very word compass tells us that it's about direction. So when we talk about True North, that is your personal compass. And that personal compass is grounded in your values and your principles. And it answers the question, who am I as a human being at the deepest level? A lot of people still cannot answer that question. But the goal of any authentic leader is to stay true to your true north. If you are able to define clearly yourself and say, these are my values, these are my principles, these are the things that I am going to live by. Once you have a clear set of values and principles, when you find yourself off track, your true north should pull you back, because those values and principles were not developed overnight. Somebody just doesn't become principled overnight. It's over time based on your experiences. So, for example, from childhood, your parents probably used to instill in you that you must be honest. And maybe you even were beaten harshly for daring to come home with somebody else's pencil or somebody else's school bag or somebody else's book. And your parents were harsh on you in that regard, because for them, honesty was a value that they insisted be transferred to you. So growing up, this becomes a value that you now have instilled in you. And the minute you find yourself in a situation whereby your honesty is being compromised, it means you're moving away from your true north. But there is no way, if honesty is a value of yours, that you would feel comfortable. You would feel comfortable in any way continuing on that path. And that is why it is so important for us to clearly establish what is our true north. What is that set of values and principles that I am going to use to guide my life? And maybe you have not defined it before, or for some of us, it's loose. You know, it's there in your head and you know, but what is important is for us to pause in this journey and to actually clearly define those. Put them on paper if you need to, so that at the end of the day, they become your personal compass. So let's give some examples of what we mean by that. Okay, so we have here two sets. We have values and we have principles, and we have some examples. And by no means are these the full list. You might have others that you can think about that you use in your own journey. Okay, so we use some examples such as patience, compassion, humility. Those are some examples. Okay, principles we talk about, you know, so these are things that you would set for yourself. Embrace failure, always tell the truth, for example. Show up every day, set audacious goals, and set audacious goals, take relentless actions, prioritize and execute. So you say to yourself that I will always tell the truth. Okay, that is a principle that you establish for yourself, that I will always tell the truth. That's permanent, that's unchanging, and that's something that at the end of the day, people can look to you and know that you are consistent as it relates to that principle, because it's something that you have set for yourself. Okay, so let's talk about some of your own principles and some of your own values. Okay, what are some values and principles that keep you grounded on a personal level? Okay, so we're just going to ask you to chat briefly in groups, just for about 5 minutes, with other persons in the group. And then based on that, just exchange among each other. What are some values and some principles that keep you grounded based on what we have been talking about? So Charlotte, work with me so that we could divide them, maybe about 5 persons per group. Is that okay?
Okay, I have 7 and 8 in a few of the groups. And can you just
perfect.
repeat what the activity is?
All right, so what are some values and principles that keep you grounded? So we're talking about your true north and the authentic leader. What are some values and principles that keep you grounded?
Okay, wonderful. And then, so I have 5 minutes on the clock. Please have
Perfect.
somebody who can report back to the larger group when we come back. We won't be able to have everybody report, but we will take maybe 3 or 4 of your groups. Okay, wonderful. So when you see join, just click on join to enter your breakout room. What are some values, that keep you grounded? All right. Okay. All right. Anybody having internet issues? A few of you are not. Okay. Arlene. Okay, Mr. Carl, is your internet working fine?
Okay, thank you. Can we have one or two groups share in terms of what were some of the things that they discussed? What were some of the principles and values that they came up with? Not all at once, please.
Okay. In our group, we spoke about honesty, and they shared that being honest is very important. As if we start probably with one small lie, then that will lead to another and another, and it can lead to other things. And
Okay, if you're not talking, if you could mute your mic.
Okay, I'll do that. That's fine. Okay, Arlene is next.
Okay, good night.
Oh, sorry,
our group
1 second.
shared-
Miss Miriam, are you finished?
no.
Yeah, I realized. My apologies.
Okay. Okay, and somebody shared about respect. It's important to be respectful to adults and to everybody. And it's only by respecting that we can gain that respect. We spoke about transparency, especially in terms of dealing with money. And one person shared about doing good, try to overcome evil and treat people the way you would like to be treated. Then another person shared about a team player. Being a team player is part of being a good leader. We need to listen and communicate. We need to collaborate and work together. And also positivity, which will help to empower each other. Thank you.
Okay, Arlene.
Okay, good night. So our group spoke mainly, majority of them believed that honesty was the main trait or the main value that they had, along with faith. Some of them also spoke on the strong influence of family values and how that has shaped them, and also hard work and dedication to their jobs. That's about it in a nutshell.
Okay, we have time for one more.
Okay, anybody else?
I would like to share an important one that a member said in my group that, really spoke to me, which was the value of health, because as professionals, sometimes we dedicate ourselves to our career, our family, and we put our health last. So that is something we need to start prioritizing.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so now several people were able to share what their values and principles were. And what is the take home from this session as it relates to establishing your true north is that values and principles are not things that we speak. They are things that we live by. A lot of people are able to list off a long list of values and a long list of principles. But what we need to do in examining ourselves is to ask, are these my values and principles? Are these the values and the principles that I live by as an individual? And you need to be able to clearly articulate them. You need to be able to clearly examine yourself and to make that list personal for you, because you are the one who has to set your true north. When we think about a compass, at the end of the day, you have to clearly establish that direction, because if your compass is off, then you're not going to reach the direction that you have established to reach, okay? So I would challenge every single person when they leave from this session, if you have not done this exercise or have not written it somewhere or reflected on it somewhere in a notebook on a piece of paper, to really ask yourself, what are my values? What are the things that I hold dear and will not compromise in any way? And what are my principles that keep me grounded? At the end of the day, if you are very clear about those things, then you can say, I have clearly established my true north, and this is the direction I'm heading, and these are the things I will not compromise. A lot of times, the reason why we have what we would call wishy-washy leaders, one day they're doing this, one day they're doing the next, one day they make a decision on something in this direction, and then another day they're faced with a similar situation and they make another decision, is because they're not grounded in values and principles. So consistency is one of the key to an authentic leader. And so I encourage everyone to really give this some thought as you go from here, okay? So we talk about values and principles as one of the key characteristics, having strong values and principles. The second area that we want to look on tonight is self-awareness. As I said, this is focused on leading yourself, and self-awareness is key. Establishing your values and principles is a big component of self-awareness, but we want to go even deeper, okay? An individual doesn't have to be born with any universal characteristics of traits of a leader. What is really key is that the journey to authentic leadership begins with understanding the story of your life. And you're going to see that we're going to be going deeper and deeper and challenging you, because it is critical for you to understand that if you are going to embark on the path of leading people, that you have to understand yourself. I cannot put it any other way. You have to know who you are, and you have to understand who you are.
Hi. Sorry to interrupt. The slideshow is not I'm not seeing the slide. I'm seeing it's not a slideshow. It's
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. Let me stop sharing for a minute, and then is that a slideshow now?
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Okay. All right. Oops. Yes. So it is critical that you are able to understand your own life story. And if you take the time and you invest in understanding your life story, you're going to be amazed to realize that this is where your values, this is where your principles come from, and this is where you're going to find the experiences that shape who you are as an authentic leader, because it is your story. Nothing is more authentic than you understanding your story and you drawing from those experiences that you have gone through in life to shape who you are as a leader. Because as I said at the onset, it will be so erroneous of you to try to shape your leadership characteristic of what you see from somebody else. The authenticity about your leadership comes from you at the core, we had said earlier, and that's about you understanding yourself and the story of your life. In the book True North from Bill George, they recognized that when they did research among leaders, that most authentic leaders that were identified, they reported that their stories involved overcoming difficult events, and they use those events to give meaning to their lives. And so that is what becomes critical about the leader. If you are able to understand your story, then you are going to be able to say, you know, these are some difficult things that I have experienced, but at the end of the day, you're going to be able to use those events to give meaning to your life. Okay? So TD Jakes, and I come back to TD Jakes because this is really important as we look at self-awareness and authenticity. TD Jakes says that there must be a time when one respects, admires, and learns from others. So he's validating that, yes, we will learn a lot from others. We will respect, we will admire others. But then you turn inward to connect to your own authentic expression of talents. So use what it is you can learn from the leaders you see around you, but continuously draw on your own experiences. And that is what is going to make the difference as it relates to you being an authentic leader. So let's talk about your life story. We're not going to ask you to share your life story. Okay, I know some of you have some very interesting and colorful life stories, but we're not going to ask you to share your life stories. But think about an authentic leader, you as an authentic leader. It begins with understanding the story of your life. Your life story will provide you with the context for your experiences. And through it, you can find the inspiration to make an impact in the world. If I were to challenge each of you right now and we say, let's spend the rest of the night talking about your life stories. If you have not made the connection yet, I guarantee you by the time we're finished, maybe with Leadership After Dark, all of you would be able to say, yes, this is what has shaped, these experiences are what has shaped me into the person that I am today. And what you're going to see is that for a lot of the leaders, the authentic leaders, they were able to use the experience that they had to give meaning to their life. Regardless of whether they were positive or negative experiences, they were able to look inside and draw on those experiences to derive some meaning in their lives. And so we want to talk about those difficult experiences. Yes, you might have a lot of positive experiences that you can share, but we want to spend some time tonight drawing on those difficult experiences. And we want to introduce the term crucibles because Bill George coined the term crucible to describe exactly that, those difficult experiences that you are having or you may have experienced. So what is a crucible, you may ask? So a crucible is a melting pot, and it is used for extremely hot chemical reactions. A crucible is designed to be able to withstand heat greater than the substance that it is intended to melt. So for example, you don't just, if you're melting gold, you don't just apply that to the fire. You will use a crucible or a vessel, a container, something in which you will put the gold, okay? What is interesting about the whole process as it relates to melting gold, let's say, and the crucible, is that the crucible can withstand extremely high temperature, and the crucible does not become affected by the heat. But whatever substance is placed within the crucible is what gets transformed, not the crucible. And so the gold is melted in the case of gold, but the crucible itself remains intact. And so there's a lot to be learned in leadership from the entire process. From the entire process, we're able to learn that we go through a lot of difficult experiences. We might say, figuratively, that we're placed in the fire. We go through the fire in our life. For some people, especially some who have shared in previous leadership experiences, man, they've had some really difficult experiences from early childhood. Some have gone through some really significant traumatic experiences. But what is interesting and why we would call it a crucible is that they did not remain bogged down in that experience. By being self-aware, by examining their life story, they were able to use that as a transformative experience. So they became transformed by that experience rather than damaged by that experience. And so when you see them now as a leader, they are able to be authentic because it is their experience that they have had that now shapes them into that person that they have become. And so if you as an individual are able to take the time to examine carefully your own story, identify those things that you would call crucibles that was probably intended to destroy you, but instead you use it as a transformative experience to be able to actually shape your authentic self, then you can see yourself as a leader that you can truly say, I am authentic, okay? So the skills required to conquer adversity and emerge stronger and more committed than ever are the same ones that make for extraordinary leader. So what makes you the authentic leader is because there was adversity in your life and you built the skills along the way to be able to emerge stronger and more committed. And usually I would share an example from myself, but I see a dear colleague of mine here tonight in our class, and I will call her name, but I would like to share her a piece of her story because she shared with me through our interaction about her childhood experience. And when she shared the difficult childhood experience that she had, and then she said, you know, this has motivated me to focus on early childhood because from my experience in life, I now understand the importance of the experiences that a child has in those formative years. So she understood because of her crucibles that she experienced in her first couple years of life, how critical that moment of early childhood is. And so she has decided that she will dedicate herself to be a leader in early childhood. And I was moved by her story, and I continue to be moved by her story because it is that type of adversity that allows us to be authentic. It is that type of experience that we are able to go far in our childhood to extract that allows us to say, you know, I am this person because. And so at the end of the day, you develop certain characteristics that are authentic, that are genuine, that are original, that are real, because those experiences are unique to you. Okay? So I want to give just an example. This is from a previous session. Okay, so we remove names because I want you to be guaranteed that we protect your confidentiality. We would never be revealing your identity or so on. If you share personal information with us, we maintain that confidentiality. But here we have an example whereby this person looked at their life story and the trajectory that their life took. And they were able to see how their early experiences shaped their life, where their father had strong principles and grounded certain things in them. But it was not until later adulthood, when she lost her mother, that she could then draw on that experience because that hit her hard. And for some people, they would probably never come back. But for her, she was able to draw from within, to learn from that experience and be transformed from that experience of losing her mother during that phase of her life. For others, it's not necessarily death. Maybe at an early age, some people are abused, or you know, you hear about some difficulties that people go through. People talk about maybe the poverty that they experience, you know, going to school with a torn shoe or no shoes at all, or maybe with one exercise book, and they talk about how their parents had to struggle for the school fees and how they were ridiculed and constantly embarrassed at school for probably not having the things that other students had. But at the end of the day, they were able to be successful at school. And now they have moved on in leadership and are able to look back and help others. So they are humble. You would find that they are humble because of the experiences they had. They wouldn't walk around with pride because they know what it feels like to be ridiculed and without means. Okay? You would probably find that they have values such as honesty and compassion. Okay? Because they are able to relate to the experiences they had. You can't generate those things from anyone else. Those can only come from your own experiences. So everybody might not have the same values. Everybody might not have the same principles. But at the end of the day, it is only your story that will make you authentic. Okay. So as we move on, I want to ask you a very important question. Have you started to examine your life story? I mean, maybe you have written it down somewhere, or maybe you have just thought of it as you're going along. You know, sometimes you sit and you reflect. Maybe over a period of time, you have sat to reflect. and you have asked yourself, who am I? And what are my crucibles? Now, maybe you have not used the term crucibles, but I'd like to encourage you to add it to your vocabulary. What are my crucibles? What are those difficult experiences that I have gone through in life that have helped me to be this person that I am today? What has shaped my values? What has shaped my principles? What has kept me grounded? What makes me authentic? What experiences have I gone through that makes me authentic and that I can now draw upon to make me an authentic leader? So we're going to spend a little time on this because I really want you guys to have that opportunity to draw on your life experiences. Do not take to the leadership circle other people's experience and consistently draw on them. I challenge you and I tell you that you have enough experiences of your own to be able to draw upon to ensure that you yourself are an authentic leader and that you do not have to look to others because this is your leadership journey. So to make this very intimate, it's going to be a lot of groups, but we will only put you in pairs. Okay, so we will only pair you with one other person so that you can feel comfortable talking. And when we come back into plenary, you do not have to share if you do not feel comfortable. You can abstain from sharing, but if you care to share, we will allow a few moments for people to share. So you will only have 10 minutes for this exercise. And please give the other person 5 minutes. Okay, we know you have some long life stories to share and they might be very well interesting, but you get 5 minutes and you give the other person 5 minutes. What are your crucibles? When you think of your life and your life story, what are your crucibles? Okay, so can we do pairs?
Okay, so I have recreated the rooms and we have a few rooms that have 3 participants. What we normally encourage you to do to share as little or as much as you like. You decide what you are comfortable in sharing. And we also ask you to be confidential. Whatever information is shared with you, we ask that you take that with you and it stays here. So it's a matter of confidentiality. So like Shireen said, it's how much minutes?
10, 5,
10 minutes. Okay, good, no problem. Let me clap that in. And then yes. All right, is that clear? You more than likely will end up with a complete stranger, which sometimes is good. You ever get on the bus and then you realize you talk to everybody, to the person on the bus, and you reach and you say, I feel like I know the person. Of course, you feel like you know them because we told them everything about us, things that we didn't even tell maybe a family member, right? So just feel comfortable sharing your crucibles, right? All right, so I will go ahead and open the rooms and you have 2 person per room. All right. Oh, wait, let me do that all over. Okay, sorry. Okay, that didn't go. Sorry. Okay, I need to do that over. We'll do it over. I didn't recreate the rooms. I click recreate and then I don't know what happened, right? So let's just do that over.
I was wondering because I saw 8.
Yeah, let's do over. I'll just wait for them to come back. I'll just close the room.
I was wondering.
Sorry, my apologies. I click recreate, and then I'm not sure what happened again. I have to wait for this one to close. Sorry about that. Please come back. My apologies. I have to recreate the rooms again. Just give me 1 second. As soon as everybody's back in and the room is closed, I can recreate it. My bad. All right, so everybody is returning. I hope you guys had a great time just bonding for that little time and sharing your story. And you know what I realized? Like, we don't talk about ourself enough, like deep enough, like that little part of us that's just there. It's part of self-care as well, and then sometimes it feels like therapy, right? When you are able to just talk a little. It's like, you know what? I never even remember that story, but here, I know I remember. All right, Charlene, over to you.
Yes. Thank you,
Yes, Frances,
Charlotte.
let's do it
And
again.
good.
Remember, we have leadership after dark. Stay behind after 8. We'll talk.
And you you are so correct, Charlotte, because well, I ended up pairing with someone because of the uneven number, and so I didn't share. I allowed the person the full 10 minutes to share, and you know what I found so interesting. He had so much to share, but at first he wasn't reflecting on his early experiences or how his experiences actually shaped the person he was. We're having some background noises. Okay, yes. So as I probed a little more, then he was able to start saying, when I was a child, my experiences with my father. He talked about his struggles with his education and how difficult it was to be able to complete his secondary education and move on, so that now, he has the position of a principal. But he didn't start his story, or he didn't go deep by looking at that. He was just looking at his current situation. And so you are right in saying that a lot of times we don't go that deep. But if we are to be authentic, if we are really able to identify who we are, where our values and our principles come from, and to remain grounded, we have to go deep. We have to go deep. And so we need to be able to have people around us that are able to help us to do that kind of exploration. So I know we do not have a lot of time, but I would really like to encourage if one or two persons are brave enough to share some of that depth. We could give a minute and a half to each person. Do we have any brave souls?
You just raise your hand. Okay, Abigail, go ahead.
Hi. Good night again. I really appreciated this opportunity, and as I was listening to my colleague, I was brought up a little bit opposite to her. She was brought up to learn to work for what she wanted, and that helped her to learn to make decisions from earlier on. And I was brought up the opposite to that. So it took me a very long time to become self-reliant and learn to make proper decisions. But as I was listening to her and she was sharing about her faith increasing, having gone through a situation with her newborn child, it has led her to begin praying more from a place of religiosity, just reciting the prayer, to really going deeper and thinking about what she was praying and meaning it with her whole heart. I just really felt honored to have been able to be paired up with somebody, who would share a story like this. And one of the things that I shared with her was, what was the probability of 77 people being in a group and 2 people who are believers, who are Christians, were paired up together? That was divine. And hearing what she said meant a lot to me. So I know that was divine order, because I needed to hear something that she shared. And I didn't say that to her, but I want to say that now. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you so much, Miss Abigail. And you see, you said that the story touched you because it was authentic. It is her story. And if, as a leader, those are the things that you bring to the table, your own experiences. People are inspired by that. People are impacted by your own real experiences because they understand that you have had experiences that placed you in the place that you are. And so they are willing to be led by you as opposed to you making up this persona and trying to lead people from other people's experiences. Miss Marisol said something really important in the chat. She said, if we go through our crucibles and emerge stronger and change lives, then we have gotten there. I'm glad that you said that, Miss Marisol, because that is exactly it. That is exactly what we're talking about. We're not saying that other people's experiences are not important and that we cannot learn from other leaders and the way they lead. But at the very core, our true north comes from our own experiences. And if we're able to go deep enough to examine those crucibles and to then allow it to transform us as opposed to destroying us, then we're well on the way to being an authentic leader. So I want to ask one other person to share, if you are brave enough. Not all at once, please. Any takers? I cannot see the hands up because I'm sharing screen.
I am seeing there are no hands up.
So, Charlotte, I see also you're saying more often than not, we prefer to hide those crucibles rather than share them with others. And, you know, it is just so important. And you might find as you challenge yourself and you allow yourself to go deep and to reflect, to become so self-aware, that the crucibles might be many and they may take different form and shape, but you're going to be able to see that at the end of the day, they're all part of what makes you authentically you, and nobody can take that away from you. I want to share very briefly, since the second person didn't want to share, but I mean, as recent as last week, I was able to identify a crucible in my life that I had never thought of before, you know. I only put the positive part on my social media, of course, because I was looking for something and I ended up stumbling across all my report cards that my mom saved. And of course, for social media purpose, I only showed the fact that I used to come in first in primary school, you know. But what I did not say on social media as I was bragging about me coming in first all the way through primary school and even being skipped from infant 1 to standard 1 was that I failed miserably throughout high school. And so although Charlotte was like chiding and saying, oh, you know, how is it that you came first in infant 1 and we were in infant 1 together? It must mean that I came second. And I said, well, the evidence is there to support. But in high school, I failed. I failed miserably. And I was shocked because somehow I did not remember until I was going through those report cards last week that I had failed so badly in high school. I could not get my act together to the extent that I repeated third form. And Charlotte moved on ahead to fourth form, and I fell behind, and I spent 5 whole years in high school. I did not recognize that, or I did not even remember that until last week when I was going through those report cards. A very stark difference from how I performed in primary school to the struggles I had to finish high school. And if I didn't think of it and if nobody knows, I could put myself off as a bright person that has been great in school through all my years. But I was not, because I failed in high school. However, staying back that 1 year provided me with an opportunity that was not available in the year that I was supposed to graduate. Because by the 5th year, Teachers College had decided that they wanted to bring students right from high school, and they would introduce a program whereby you didn't have to go into the classroom and teach and then go to Teachers College. For the first time, they wanted to examine what was possible if they brought students from high school into the Teachers College, train them, and then send them out to teach. And there became an opportunity for me to be able to go to Teachers College. And I say all of this because when I looked at the failure that I was throughout high school, I said to myself that one great example that I now understand is that you can fail for a season in your life, but you are not a failure. If I was written off by the teachers or my parents as a failure, I would not have gotten the opportunity to complete high school. And so it is always important to look back because those are some of the things that end up shaping who you are. At the end of the day, I value education, but I also am able to be humble and say, you know, there are times in your life when you can just mess up. You know, I emerged from it stronger and now I'm successful. And I don't even want to remember that I failed every year in high school. Okay, so it's important to reflect, guys. It's important to go back. It's important to dig deep within yourself to examine what are those things that make you you? What are those things that make you authentic? Okay, so as we wrap up, I want to ask you a question. You could put it on the chat, or maybe you have. You want to raise your hand and give an example. Do you know an authentic leader? Based on everything we said from the very beginning, we talked about, you know, an authentic leader being able to identify their true north, being able to really articulate and stay grounded in their values and principles. An authentic leader being self-aware, being able to identify their life story, be able to identify their crucibles, and be able to use those crucibles as a transformative experience and emerge from it stronger. Do you know an authentic leader? Are you interacting right now with a leader who you can say, you know, this person is real, this person is genuine, this person is drawing on their experience and they're not fake? Do you know any authentic leader? Can you raise your hand if you do? None? I'm talking about in belief. Okay, Arlene and Abigail. I see a thumbs up. Arlene, was your hand up from before or is that now?
Yeah, no, I just put it up.
All right, Arlene, can you share?
Okay, I think I have been fortunate to have authentic leaders. Well, two. Sister Caritas was the first authentic leader that I met at St. Catherine Academy. And my current principal, Mrs. Salome Tillett, I find her to be authentic as well.
Okay. All right, awesome. I have met both lovely ladies. Actually, I had the privilege of working with Sister Caritas in the Ministry of Education many moons ago. And so I can definitely second what you're saying for sure. Okay. Anybody else has their hand up? I can't see. Okay. No. Does that mean that you do not know any authentic leaders?
Can I share, please?
Okay, sure.
Go ahead, Domingo.
I recognize myself as an authentic leader.
Amen.
And also, Honorable Cordell Hyde. Those are the two I recognize, well, myself and Mr. Cordell Hyde.
Okay.
The strength and the outspokenness, the real being of this of Honorable Cordell Hyde, especially when he presents himself via the media. I haven't met him personally, so I'm just talking via the media.
Okay. All right. So based on what you have seen with him, you see consistency. And I'm really glad that you are bold enough to say, listen, I am an authentic leader, because you have examined yourself and you have identified many of the characteristics of an authentic leader within yourself. I mean, that's awesome. Okay. So one of the challenges that we know for a fact, and we hear it so often, is that we're lacking in good leaders. And I believe that what people mean when they say we're lacking in good leaders is that we're lacking in authentic leaders, especially when you look around at this time as it relates to people really being consistent you know, and holding true to their values, staying grounded, being able to identify and live their principles and keeping to their true north, that we're seeing that there's a serious crisis in leadership. And that is why we thought it was so important to begin the leadership course by talking about leading ourselves and our own leadership journey, because we want to be able to contribute to creating great leaders among you, authentic leaders who at the end of the day are able to just be consistent and to be able to maintain that true north. Okay, so as we wrap up, of course, we have assignment for you. But before we do that, I want to leave you with this quote before we go into assignment from Bill George. And he says, when you understand the passion that emanates from your life story, you will discover the purpose of your leadership. Your true north will become clear. And a lot of people have said that. We need to be able to look at our life story and, you know, draw passion from it. We need to be excited about our life story to the extent that we are able to draw purpose from it. And that our life story gives us that measure to be able to say, this is who I am, and this is how I am going to lead. And that is what would make the difference in terms of us being an authentic leader. And so back to homework, okay? We want to challenge you a little more as you go off based on everything that you have heard. I know also that there are readings on the platform, as well as the PowerPoint is on the platform, that you take the time to identify, examine yourself as an authentic leader. What are the chapters in your life so far? And so we tried to break it down into 4 distinct areas. I'm assuming everybody has at least reached chapter 4, okay? Or if not, you're at chapter 3 at the very least. Okay, I'm way past chapter 4. I'm like at the end of the book. Okay, what events have impacted you? What gifts, talents, and passions have you discovered along the way? What crucibles have you experienced that has shaped you into the authentic leader? And why we suggest breaking it in chunks or chapters is because it's hard to take all of it in all at once. So you might want to examine your childhood, followed by looking at your adolescence, your early adulthood, and then if you are over 30, your late adulthood. And challenge yourself to answer those questions and to really examine yourself. Look deep, because we're talking about you as a leader. And we want you to be able to emerge from this first module clearly able to identify those unique characteristics that make you an authentic leader. Not about anybody else, but about you. So you can write it, like you can write a paragraph, let's say, for each chapter, or you, if you're graphically inclined, you can do it in this way by steps, which is in the PowerPoint example that will be online, okay? The assignment is due in 1 week. We usually give 1 week, and so at the beginning of every Wednesday, your assignment would be due, because an assignment will be given each week. Okay, so I'll hand it over to Charlotte for her to wrap up and discuss whatever other logistics are necessary. And I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Charlene. I learned so much. I'm so engaged now. I was like, I forgot that I was here to help with administration. But I really found the session helpful and definitely engaging as well. And I thank you guys so much for your participation. It's always a travesty that we only have such a short time to share with you. And that is why we include the sessions on the online platform. So for this course, to say you have completed this course, you will be required to, can you stop sharing, Charlene, so that I can go to the platform? You will be required to attend the live lectures. If for some reason you cannot attend, some good, really God-given reason, We can provide you with the recording, but you miss out on all this. You miss out on the rich interaction and the discourse and the virtual chocolates and then, you know, the leadership after dark. You miss out on all of that. So we encourage you to join the sessions. And then there is the online learning platform where we provide lessons for you to do every week. And this is reinforcement to, you know, I always say, don't be intimidated by what you see on the platform. Like everything else, some people will go through all, some will do some, and there are those few who will do none. We hope that we don't have that among you guys. And so let me take you there. I know a few of you have done courses with us before, have used the platform. For some of you, it's new. If you're having any challenges with the platform, send me a little WhatsApp and I will help you. But it's really practically easy. We try to make it as user-friendly as possible for you to be able to complete your course requirement. So, okay, that's my ugly screen. Never mind. It's always a mess. Let me take you to the platform and tell you what it is that we will need to do. I know some of you, I've seen you guys already on there and doing your thing, and I am proud of you, all right? You did not wait. You just dived right in and started to engage. And so this is what you will see when you come to the platform. I have already created an account for all of you. It's your first name and your last name, small letters, all one. You should have gotten an email by now. And so your first and last name. If you type that in and it doesn't go in, if you have two last name, try the last one, not the second last name, the last name. Try that. And then if that still doesn't work, message me. Don't attempt it more than 3 times because it's going to lock you out for 4 hours. You know, like when you're trying to put your PIN number in the bank, it's going to lock you out. So don't attempt it more than 3 times. Message me and I will go in and see why is it you can't go in. All right, so you log in, you go to sign in, you log in. Once you log in, okay, just my internet, sorry. Okay, this is what you will see. There's a lot to see. Take your time and see it, but for the purpose of your course, go straight to your dashboard. So log in, dash to your dashboard. Just remember your dash to your dashboard. And then what you will need to do is, I will have to go down here to go to the course because I did not add myself onto the course. Don't just close your eyes if things are there you shouldn't see. And then you will find your course. You will see enroll courses and then continue to your lesson. Okay, once you are here, this is what you're interested in. What's on your left-hand side here is your lesson list. And each module, module 1, module 2, module 3. This is week 1, 2, and 3. And so your lessons pop up here and you continue scrolling down. Please make an effort to watch the videos. They're really great. And then read the information. And before you click, and then you click next to move on. You go to your lessons. Please click complete lesson to the top here. And this is going to verify that you did read. So don't click complete if you didn't read. And then you scroll down through the lessons and each week you will find one assignment. This is your assignment for the week and it's your story. So you click here. Some people are afraid to click submit because they say something will go wrong. But when you click submit, the window opens for you to be able to upload your file or type in here. So you could prepare it in a Word document or a PDF and you upload and then you click submit, or you could type in your story here, 0 to 12 years, you know, I was whatever, and then be sure to click submit. You have to click submit. If you don't click submit, it won't work, right? So you click submit and your answer comes to us and we are able to give you feedback. And that's basically it. That's all you need to do. I will send you a short tutorial to assist you if you are, so that you can navigate this, but it's very straightforward. You log in, you dash to your dashboard. If at any time you feel lost on the site, go to course home. in life and on this platform, whenever you're last, you go back home. Just keep going back home. So go to course home, go to home. Click on go to home and you will be able to go right back to the front page if you get lost and go back to your dashboard again. So it's very user friendly, it's straightforward, but nonetheless, we do have people who, you know, it's the first time you're using the online platform, where I am available to assist you. You can WhatsApp me at any time, email me at any time. The only time I'm not available is between 12 midnight and 5 a.m. That's when I am asleep. So, but apart from that, message me. In fact, you can still message me when I'm asleep. I'll just get it when I awake, okay? Are there any questions? At the end of the successful completion of your course, you receive your certificates. Your certificates will have the number of CPD hours that you have earned if you are a teacher. And you will, we also send a report to TEDS with your credit hours, the report, and then they enter that into the BMS and you are good to go. Okay, so basically that's all we have for tonight. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Castillo had her hand
Okay,
raised.
yes, Karen. You had a question?
Did you mention the password for the platform?
Oh, okay. Check your emails, please. Your password, everybody password is 1234556. And then you change it. It will prompt you to change your password as soon as you log in. So your username, your full name, like Karen Castillo or Guzman, and then 123456. That's your password. And when you log in for the first time, change your password. Okay. Message me, WhatsApp me. I will walk you through it again if you're having any issues at all. Don't attempt to log in a whole lot. It's going to lock you out and then you won't be able to do your assessment. Okay. Yes, Rendine?
What is the name of the platform again?
Oh, sorry. Okay, you go to www.bzlearn.com. bzlearn.com.
Thank you.
There would have been an email. Once I add you to the platform, you will automatically get an email and it's going to give you the information. And for those of you, especially who did the effective communication course, don't be afraid to drop a line and say received, right? When I send you the WhatsApp or send you the email, just so I know, we talked about that in effective communication, right? So just so I know you ace the course. All right, so basically that's it. Any other questions?
Just something I noticed here. I was looking for the email, but apparently I'm not sure why the email is going to junk. So maybe for some that have not seen the email, maybe they can check junk and they will see it there.
Probably it's going to come from info@bzlearn.com. That's where the email will come from, info@bzlearn.com. So mark it as not spam and then you will be able to. Any other questions, comment? Maybe there's a burning, something you thought about during the course and you want to quickly share with us. Okay. All right, wonderful. So if there is no other question, comments, myself, on behalf of myself and Charlene, I want to thank you so much for your time. Next week, this week we were talking about leading self. Next week, we will be talking about leading others. And then in the final week, we look at your change management. So please be on time. We try to start at 6:30 promptly. And we also try to finish at 8, but there were some people who didn't want to finish at 8, right? So we gave you a few more minutes just for those that wanted to stay a little longer, like when we were younger and we would go to the disco. All right, not anymore. So thank you so much again. No, it's 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks, but if you want one more week, just let me know and we'll be here. We can do 4 weeks, right? But 3 weeks is the requirement. All right. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night. Please do not hesitate to message if you have any questions or any concerns, right? This is what we do. This is what we love. And we are here to serve you. All right. Good night, everybody. God bless. Go make your tortilla now. No pack bread.
Good night,
everyone.
Miss, and thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Welcome.
Good night,
Let's give
everybody.
Charlene. Let's give Charlene a virtual round of applause. We're out of chocolates, so just an applause. All right.
We want a non-virtual chocolate.
Whenever I get the pleasure of meeting you all in person, I'll be sure to walk around with chocolates in my bag. So I was like, oh, that's you. All right. Of course, if I can't see your face on the platform, then I won't know it's you. So there's benefits to showing your face, right, Miss Shana? Thank you guys so much. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.